Power inside the box.
Yes.
Oh, and he put Sligo Rovers ahead against his former team on his comeback from injury. Simon Power with the goal to give Sligo Rovers the lead. Power again, encouraged to shoot. And Simon Power! What a goal!
Oh, what a strike!
2-0 to Sligo Rovers and Simon Power with both goals.
Oh my God, that's unreal.
LOI TV's Jessica Farry and Declan Boyle describing a bit of a surprise at the Showgrounds as Sligo Rovers overcome Shamrock Rovers by 2-0, a fitting tribute to the late Tommy Gorman. More on that game to come. We'll also hear from St Pat's defender Tom Grivosti. He talks about his comeback and his year of injury. We'll hear from Jon Flanagan, who watched Waterford overcome Dundalk 2-0. And Patrick O'Connor was at Talca Park to watch Shelbourne beat Galway by 2-0. Keith Treacy will give us his analysis of St Pat's scoreless draw at home to Bows. Let's start though at the Showgrounds. Donal Ryan of Ocean FM and Extratime.com watched Sligo Rovers beat Shamrock Rovers by 2-0, and afterwards he sent us this voice note.
Thanks, Oisin. Yeah, full time here in the Showgrounds. It's Sligo Rovers 2, Shamrock Rovers 0, and what a performance out of Sligo Rovers here this evening. The game was really even in the first half. Johnny Kenny in menacing form coming into this one. He had a great chance, as did Graham Burke. Both of them just rolling the ball narrowly wide either side of both the left and right hand post. Wilson Muweru could probably find himself a bit unlucky not to have capitalised on a few chances that fell his way in the first half, as well as did Will Fitzgerald, was causing loads of trouble down the right, or the left hand side rather, for Sligo Rovers, carving out chances but not able to capitalise on them. Reece Hartman had one of the best chances of the first half when a pinpoint cross from Will Fitzgerald found him from the left-hand side. He was standing on the edge of the box and managed to power a header on target at Leon Poles. Couldn't trouble the keeper, though, on his last appearance for the Bit of Red this evening. I say he powered a shot at Leon Poles. I probably should have saved that for the second half substitute that made the difference for Sligo Rovers this evening. Back from a long-term injury and straight off the bench to face his former club was Simon Power. He picked up the ball in the middle of the second half and just drove at the box using his pace and smashed a shot at goal. It took a deflection on the way through and got in under Leon Poles to give the Bit of Red the lead. And then on 84 minutes, he made it 2-0. The ball just broke to Ollie Denham and he stormed forward and drifted out wide. He was almost in a winger's position, laid it off to Simon Power, who just took a touch, lifted it, got away from Aaron Green, drove at the box and just smashed his laces through it, and the ball just spun into the bottom left corner to send the Showgrounds into raptures. A really special evening to mark the end of a very difficult week for all associated with the club, with the loss of the legend Tommy Gorman, who was putting all his time and energy since his retirement from RT into the development plan of the stadium here in the Showgrounds. So full time here in the Showgrounds. Sligo Rovers 2, Shamrock Rovers 0 on a really special night for the Bit of Red.
Donal Ryan watching Sligo Rovers beat Shamrock Rovers by 2-0. I didn't know Tommy Gorman, but I know he absolutely loved Sligo Rovers, and it tells you an awful lot about what the club meant to him. The fact that the family have put out a notice that it's family flowers only and that people can make donations to Sligo Rovers. So that tells you how much Tommy Gorman loved Sligo Rovers, and by the sounds of it, Sligo Rovers and its supporters and everyone around the club absolutely loved him. We're thinking about the Gorman family. We're also thinking about the Wallace family, who had a big loss this week, and of course the family of Micheál Umar Hurtig. Sport is there to support us when we lose people around us, and while it can never replace them, it can certainly provide a moment of distraction, and it can provide solace. And the people within the sport, and most of us who follow League of Ireland or GAA or whatever we follow, all of our friends are kind of from that circle, and they're the ones who pull you through, and they're the ones who rally around you when it's needed. And I've no doubt that the people of Sligo Rovers are rallying around the Gorman family. The people of people in or around Wexford Soccer are rallying around the Wallaces, and needless to say, the people of the GA world and the sporting world at large are rallying around the Umar Hurtigs, and everyone is rallying around everyone. It's not just specific to sports, obviously. Let's go to Richmond Park, where St Pat's and Bohemians drew 0-0. We'll hear from St Pat's defender Tom Grivosti very shortly, but first the analysis of former St Pat's and Republic of Ireland player Keith Treacy, who joined me for co-commentary on LOI TV.
Yeah, I said it at half time, Oisin, for the 0-0 draw. An entertaining game, had me on the edge of the seat at times. The midfield battle was really entertaining to watch unfold. I think both teams are thinking if we could just tidy up in the final third, could have easily scored 1 or 2 goals tonight. From a Pat's point of view, looked to have a little bit more control in the build-up defensively, looked a little bit more solid, and all the bits that we want to see, the progression in the team since Stephen Kenny has took over. We do look to be going in the right direction. It's not a win, but it's a foundation now. We haven't lost the opening game back, and hopefully we can build on that now towards the end of the season.
Is it a draw with positive signs?
That's exactly what it is, Oisin. Yeah, sometimes you can play poorly and win the game of football, but the indicators are here that Pats are playing well. Defensively, they look more solid, moving the ball quicker in certain areas. Just need to tidy up in that final third. And it's a decent performance. It's one that, as I say, I think Pats can build on. Stephen Kenny will be hopeful they can build on that. Yeah, but not bad at all. Yeah, like I say, can build on it.
You won't win anything, you won't do anything unless you build from the back. It's a football cliche, but there's a reason for that. That back four, it's back in place and it looks solid, doesn't it?
It does. I think the natural right back of Solberg and Anto Bresnan playing the natural left back is a big help. A natural left footer, a natural right footer. It's obviously going to help. But Grivosti going back in there after his long-term injury. Joe Redmond seems to have got over his injury worries as well. The more games that back four play together, the more solid St. Pat's will become. And I think we can see that now.
What will Bowes take from this game?
I think Alan Reynolds will be telling them that, you know, they've gone to Inchicore, a very tough place to play. A new manager coming in, that new manager bounce will still be there. So Inchicore is a difficult place to play. I know we've said that Pats have lost 10 games here, 5 games here already this season, so they do get turned over. Stephen Kenny is trying to address that, making us more solid defensively while keeping that bit of attack and flair. And yeah, I think Bowes will say, look, we've travelled across Dublin for a Dublin derby. At times we were the better team. We probably had the better chances. My mind goes back to the Anto Bresnan block on the line. Could have easily ended up in the back of the net. So I think Alan Reynolds, if you're just talking about consistency, if we can perform like that, you know, week in, week out, Bowes will definitely start looking up the right end of the table. As you could probably say the same about Pats, find that bit of consistency and they'll be looking up into the European spots, but they need to turn the draws and the losses into wins. They can't afford to be letting games drift and drawing too many more, considering how poor of a start it was.
I won't say is it easy to do that. If it was easy we'd all be managers, but do you think it's more than possible given what you've seen over the last couple of games, including tonight?
Definitely, yeah, I do think, you know, a lot of people were saying to me that maybe Pats haven't got the pool of talent that they had last season and it's natural that they're further down the league. I buy that to a certain extent, but I do think there's enough talent out there on that Pats pitch, and with Stephen Kenny coming in, putting a bit of an attacking and defensive shape on it, there's every chance they should be challenging to Europe. But given how poor of a start it was, Oisin, they need to be, you know, close to flawless to go and get themselves into Europe. So it's a big ask, but not one that I think anybody from Pats will be shying away from.
And finally, before I let you go, Keith, who do you fancy for the Euros? The other competition that's going on at the moment.
Well, I said France from the start, and then when Mbappe broke his nose and I thought he was out, I was ready to jump ship. So I'm going to stick with France, even though they've been less than convincing. But yeah, could be anybody. I'm really impressed with the Spanish. I think the Germans have looked really good. The spine of the Germans is excellent. The Spanish young kids in there really good. The Portuguese look really good. The Dutch look excellent. But yeah, I'm going to stick with the French. I'd stay the French.
It is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and we're in Richmond Park where St. Pat's have just drawn 0-0 with Bohemians. Tom Grivosti, you got through another 90 minutes. First of all, it's good to see you back. I imagine for you it's good to be back.
No, yeah, unbelievable to be back. And I actually felt really good then. That 90 minutes Rovers game was hard graft. Well, I got through it, and out there I felt unbelievable. Probably the best I can't remember getting through 90 minutes with like so much ease physically. So no, really positive for me to feel that good playing again.
Up until recently, I think it had been a full calendar year since you played. How frustrating for that? How tough was that?
It was really tough. Obviously, I was just saying to the newspaper lads in there, like, you missed the cup final, and obviously amazing for the club, but like personally, like, gutted not to be a part of that day. And then you miss pre-season, the start of the season, and the start of the season doesn't go as well as we wanted, and you can't help, which is like gutting. But now I'm fit and I can help and on the pitch, which is good for me, and I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season now.
You never looked unfit, so obviously you were working away in the background. It's not the work you wanted to be doing, but it kept you busy, kept you occupied, kept you involved.
Yeah, so I stayed here the whole off season to just do my rehab, because if I go home, I just feel guilty that I'm not doing enough. So I just stayed here. I was basically in every day, doing something every day to try and keep myself fit, because it's hard enough staying fit when you're injured, when you're in every day, but when all the lads are off and you're going on holidays and stuff like that, it's even harder. So I just tried to keep myself fit as possible, and I felt good out there, so hopefully it's paid off.
That's a great sign of your attitude, but also the club, that despite the fact that you could have gone back and worked on your rehab in England, you stayed. So you've obviously built a bit of a life here in Dublin, have you?
Yeah, I've got my girlfriend here, we live together.
Is she a Dub or did she come over?
She's a Dub, yeah, she's from Knockline, so we live in Knockline now. So that really helped me to be able to stay. Obviously, if all the lads were going away, and it'd be tough, but having her, she's been unbelievable for me. Took me in for operations, out for operations and stuff like that. And she's been a great support for me, especially in the off season. To having her there, so just when I go to the gym and come back, and she's there for me. Yeah.
It nearly becomes as much about the people around you as you when you're injured, doesn't it?
Yeah, because when I was in Scotland and I had a long-term injury, I was by myself up there, I was miles away from home. Where here, I've got my girlfriend, I've got family in Clontarf. They've been unbelievable for me, so I've got people here, and it's a half an hour flight for my family to come over and visit, which is great as well.
Tell us about the family in Clontarf.
My mum's sister met my uncle from Clontarf, and then they had a child, and my auntie moved over. So she's been here about 10 years now.
Okay, and did that make it easy when you came over, and then when you got injured, to stay around here, the fact that you had family?
So before I come here in the January, in the November, my uncle and my cousin went to the final, Pats and Bows, on the penalties.
Oh yeah, 2021,
Yeah, and they went and supported Bows, and then I signed for Pats in the January, so then they become Pats fans in the January.
And like, you're looking good out there as well, so that must be nice to know that you're not kind of struggling or gassing to get fitness. You're actually looking really good out there.
Yeah, thank you. I felt really good. Obviously, there's still bits that I can improve on and stuff like that. Like, it's been a long time away, and it's not just going to come all back at once, but I think it's a good starting point to my first two full 90s. Like, I think I've done all right, so definitely stuff to build on.
It's the second half of the season. It kicked off tonight. I know you wanted to win, but I would suggest, and I said this to your manager, it was a good performance, but not an ideal result.
Yeah. No, I was saying then, we've been here this season where we haven't scored and we haven't created the chances, and you're sitting here thinking, how are we going to score? But I think we created the chances tonight, and we keep doing that, we'll win games, you know what I mean? Like, I think Rory had a great header, the keeper's made an unbelievable save, Mason's come on, had a chance, Keane Kavanagh's had a chance. Like, you keep giving these boys the chances, they'll score goals, so that's definitely a positive for us, that we've created the chances, just hasn't went in on the night.
And Europe is coming up now. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. Did you get to play in Europe last year?
No, I missed.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I missed, but I played the year before when we beat Miura, and then we beat Sofia away and got knocked out in Tala. So I played that year.
Okay.
That was a great year.
What's different about Europe? I mean, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. Can you explain from the player's point of view what it's like to play in Europe, or do you look forward to? Is there a bit more of a buzz about it? What's it like?
No, definitely. I think there is a bit more of a buzz. Just for you don't know who you're going to get the next round. Could be the dream tie, like stuff like that, like a proper cup competition, but like European, like stuff that you dream of, you know what I mean? And if you can dream about getting to the group stages and you see people in the conference league, I don't know, is Chelsea in it this year?
Shels are, yeah, they're playing St. Gibraltar.
Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea. Actually,
like, I don't know what the English teams are, but I remember when we were in the other year, West Ham, isn't it? Like, we get to the group and get West Ham, you know what I mean? Like, that's the dream, like. So, no, it's great, and obviously got a decent draw, and hopefully we can go over there and do something.
Are you aware of the history of Ireland and Liechtenstein in 1995 and us drawing 0-0? And did you sense a bit of stress around some of the Irish lads in the group when you drew a Liechtenstein team? Or they're probably too young to remember. Yeah, 1995, we were looking good to get to Euro 96 in England and drew 0-0 with Liechtenstein. And it kind of went off the rails. We lost to Austria thanks to the Harry.
I've actually heard that, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think someone mentioned it, but I didn't know the context to it.
Yeah, so there you go. And the Harry Ramsden challenge ahead of the Austria game didn't help. But listen, we don't need to go down that road. Just before I let you go, where are you originally from? You're
Liverpool.
Okay, very good. And are you a Liverpool fan, Everton fan? Who do you support?
Liverpool fan, yeah.
Okay, and are you looking forward to the new season?
Yeah, kind of. Gutted the club's left, but it's one of them. we were going well, and then I don't know, kind of went out the window at the end of the season, didn't it, for us? But I don't know, I was a massive fan. I don't know, now you can't go to games and that, it's a bit like you're a bit of away from it.
And were you a game goer, like you were a proper...
I've been in the last 2 Champions League finals, they'd probably...
Oh, wow.
There was a stage where my last 2 games were 2 Champions League finals, and they're about 3 years apart. So that's...
Talk about bandwagon jumping. Wow.
But I've actually been a few games this year, because Marcelo, to be fair, got me a few tickets, but I'll just concentrate on Pats, not too fussed on Liverpool.
Tom, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Let's go to Talca Park, where Patrick O'Connor of Extratime.com watched Shelbourne earn a 2-0 victory against Galway United. After the game, Patrick sent us this voice note.
Very good game, 3,500 people here approximately. 2 very, very contrasting styles of play on display tonight. Shels, probably their best display of the season, particularly in the first half. Kept possession very well, stroked the ball around very well, walked the ball through the thirds and created numerous chances. And in contrast, Galway adopted a much more traditional Route 1 style. Certainly paid no dividends for them at all in the first half. It did to an extent in the second half, but not sufficiently so to get a goal, and certainly not 2 goals and an equaliser. So good display by Shelbourne. They were gifted a goal in the 11th minute, a ball down the left flank, which the Galway defence should have dealt with. But between Esua, the right back, and Rob Slevin, at centre back, there was a lack of communication. John Martin slipped in between the two of them, one-on-one with Brendan Clark on goals. Couldn't really miss, and he slotted it home. So 1-0 to Shelbourne after 11 minutes. Shels continued to dominate, played with great confidence, and you'd have to say the 2-week recess certainly didn't impact on their performance tonight. If anything, they looked fitter and sharper than they did at any time this season. Galway did have a good chance in the 31st minute, a breakaway attack. The ball broke on the left-hand side of their attack to David Hurley. He used his left foot, and maybe his right foot might have been the better choice, but he swung the ball wide of the far post with his left foot. Goal number 2 arrived for Shelbourne in the 36th minute, again arising from a series of passes from the back through midfield and up the right wing to Burt. He won a corner. When the corner was swung in, John Martin had peeled away to the back post. He headed it back into the goal, and Caffrey showed great athleticism to hook the ball over Brendan Clark for the second goal. Another good goal for Shelbourne, and it remained 2-0 at the break. 3 subs by John Caulfield at half-time did have an impact. Dervin, Maurice Nugent and Fransley Lomboto came on. The latter in particular caused a lot of trouble to the Shels central defence. They had a glorious opportunity in the 75th minute to at least get a goal back. Lomboto was involved. The ball broke to Maurice Nugent. He was taken down by Dervin. Lomboto himself, because he was playing with great confidence, grabbed the ball, took the penalty. It wasn't a badly taken penalty by any stretch of the imagination, but Conor Kearns did very well, dived to his right and gathered the ball. So that was Galway's best opportunity, and they failed to take it. They did continue to press, and again using the Route 1 method, and it was reasonably successful. They did cause some consternation in the Shels defence at times. On one occasion, close to the end, Shea Griffin had to clear a ball off the line. But overall, it was too little too late from Galway's point of view. And again, there's no better team than Shelbourne to defend a 1 goal, or in this case, a 2-0 lead. 4 minutes of extra time didn't make any difference, and when the final whistle was blown, you'd have to say the 2-0 win by Shelbourne was very, very well deserved. No question about that. So that's it. Shelbourne 2, Galway United 0.
Let's go to Oriel Park, where Waterford beat Dundalk by 2-0. Former Dundalk captain Jon Flanagan was there for LOI TV and LMFM, and also Extratime.com. And afterwards, he sent us this voice note.
It's finished 2-0 here in Oriel Park tonight, with Waterford taking the 3 points on offer in what was, must be said, a really entertaining game from the get-go. Both teams really played some attacking football, and the difference was the 2 moments of quality by Waterford in the first half. The first, a very, very swift counter-attack from a Dundalk corner. It was led to Conor Parsons putting the ball into net 8-9 seconds later It's a wonderful counter-attacking move. Second goal, just before half-time, was kind of that body blow to Dundalk. A free kick in the edge of the box. McManaman drove into the bottom corner. And that's the way it's finished. 2-0 at half-time. Second half was really, really entertaining, end-to-end, from both sides. And Dundalk huffed and puffed and had the ball in dangerous positions, numerous half chances, and the Waterford back four soaked it up. And then when they were breached, Sargent and goal made 2 or 3 excellent saves to deny Dundalk, and that's how it finished. 2-0 to Waterford, and a really entertaining game. Waterford move up to third on their own, and Dundalk still languishing down the bottom of the table with Drogheda United just behind them. A large gap now opening up between the teams in front.
Let's run back through the results. St Patrick's Athletic 0, Bows 0, Sligo Rovers 2, Shamrock Rovers 0, Shelbourne 2, Galway United 0, Dundalk 0, Waterford 2, and Derry City 5, Drogheda United 1. What does all of that mean for the table? Shelbourne on top. They're 2 points clear of Derry City, having played 1 game less. Shelbourne are on 46, Derry are on 44. Waterford are third on 34 points. They've played 22 games. That's 2 less than Derry and 1 less than leader Shels. Shamrock Rovers in 4th position on 31 points. They've played the same amount of games as 3rd place Waterford. In 5th position are Galway on 30 points. In 6th position are St Pat's on 28 points. But they've played 3 more games than Galway. They've played more games than anyone else above them. In some cases, they played 2 more games. In other cases, they've only played 1. In the case of Derry City, they've actually played the same amount of games. But Derry City also in Europe, so that's why them and Pats have played the same amount of games. So they haven't played more games than everyone above them. Almost everyone above them. I'm in a car park in Carlow very late at night recording this, so I'm not going to re-record and edit. I'm just, you can maybe hear the rain in the background. That's the dedication I show to bringing you this podcast. I hope you appreciate that. I hope you like and subscribe. You'd be doing me a massive favour, an extra time, a massive favour if you do. Sligo Rovers in 7th on 28 points. They've played 2 games less than St Pat's. Bows in 8th on 25 points. They've only played 20 matches. Dundalk 2nd from bottom on 19 points. And Drogheda bottom of the pile on 16 points. In the first division, Athlone Town 1, Treaty United 0, Cove Ramblers 2, UCD 2, Cork City 1, Bray Wanderers 0, Kerry FC 1, Wexford 1, and Longford 1. Finn Harps 1. What fixtures are happening on Saturday? In the Avenir Sports All-Ireland Cup quarter-final, Galway United hosting Treaty at 5 o'clock. In the SSE Electricity Women's Premier Division, it's Shamrock Rovers against Athlone, Peamount taking on Sligo Rovers, Wexford against Cork City, and DLR Waves meet Bohemians. The Shamrock Rovers Athlone game is off at 4. At 5, it's the Peamount Sligo game. At 6, it's Wexford against Cork City. And at 7:35, it's DLR Waves taking on Bohemians. Before we go, let's find out what's happening at Euro 2024, because Extratime.com's Macdara Ferris is there. He's in Germany. He's following all the action. And from Germany, he sent us this voice note.
Hi, Oisin. Macdara ringing here from Berlin. I wasn't at a game this evening, but I was at the pre-match press conference for the last 16 tie that'll be held in the Olympiastadion in Berlin on Saturday evening between Switzerland and Italy. The Italians have played in that stadium 6 times. They've only won twice, but what 2 wins they've had. They won the 2006 World Cup there in a penalty shootout, and in quite an historical event, they also won the Olympic gold medal in the 1936 Olympics when they beat Austria. Switzerland have only ever played in the venue once. That was in 1961 in a playoff for a World Cup, the 1962 World Cup, and they beat Sweden 2-1. So that's the history coming into the game. I thought it was interesting that both countries put up their goalkeepers for the press conference. So Gianluigi Donnarumma was there for the Italian side and Jan Sommer for Switzerland. So there was much talk about penalties. No surprise when Donnarumma, his penalty heroics helped Italy win the European Champions last time out, and he saved a penalty against Luka Modric just a few days ago. Luciano Spalletti was asked about penalties, and he talked about penalty takers are guys who can manage the emotions of that specific moment. So they've been doing penalties in training, but also in practice games. He's stopping games during their training to take penalties, to try and put added pressure on. So I thought that was interesting. Jan Sommer was asked about his penalties, and he talked about he doesn't really think about penalties during the game. He obviously, or ahead of the game, he looks at the individual penalty takers who might take one in regulation time. But when the shootout comes around, he said his goalkeeping coach will give it to him as well. And then I did get the chance to ask the Swiss manager Murat Yakin about their preparation for penalties. So we might hear that now.
We've reached the knockout stages. We've talked a little bit about penalties with Gianluigi Donnarumma and with your goalkeeper Jan Sommer. Switzerland won and lost a shootout in the last European Championships. With those shootouts in mind, how have your preparations gone for a potential penalty shootout tomorrow night?
Wir hatten genug Zeit diese Woche, um auch mal im Trainingseinheiten die Elfmeter zu üben. Also jeder.
We've had time this week to train and work on penalties as well. Everyone has taken a penalty in training. We've jotted down some notes. Of course, it's not the same thing taking a penalty on the training ground as opposed to taking one in a match situation with all of the pressure that pertains to that. But we do have the necessary experience to take on penalties. To be honest, I don't want to go to penalties. I hope we can win the game prior to that, because penalties are a lottery. And we know it's not particularly nice thing to go through. But yes, we have trained on that as well, and we hope that if we go to penalties, we can win the match.
So that's it for the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. As the rain falls down on my car in this car park in Carlow. Maybe you're hearing that, maybe you're not. You'd think I'd have better things to do with my life than record links for a podcast in a car park late at night in Carlow, an area that doesn't even have senior League of Ireland representation. It has players in the league, but doesn't have senior League of Ireland representation. They are working on that at CK United, Carlow Kilkenny United. So I think it's only a matter of time, but at the moment they don't have a League of Ireland club. But it's a very vibrant area football-wise, Carlow and Kilkenny. So, like I say, it is only a matter of time before they have a senior League of Ireland presence again in Kilkenny's case, because obviously there was Kilkenny City FC in the past. That's it from me. Please like and subscribe. Luke will be back with a deep dive into the league and the Euros in the coming days, so check that out. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.